All right, today we're diving into one of the big ones, William Shakespeare's masterpiece, Hamlet. Now, if you think this is just a straightforward revenge story, think again. This play is a deep psychological journey into grief, morality, madness, and really, the incredible, sometimes paralyzing power of just thinking too much.
And it all really boils down to this one single iconic question. You've heard it a million times, but this isn't just some famous line, it's the absolute core of the story. It's the dilemma that drives Hamlet and pretty much frames the entire tragedy. It's the ultimate showdown between action and inaction.
So where do we start? We find ourselves at Elsinore Castle in Denmark. And let me tell you, right from the get-go, the vibe is off. The air is just thick with tension, and you get this gnawing feeling that something is seriously, deeply wrong here.
So here's the situation. The old king, Hamlet's father, has just died. But there's been no real time for mourning because his brother, Claudius, has already swooped in, grabbed the crown, and, in a move that's both incredibly fast and frankly pretty creepy, married the widowed Queen Gertrude. This is the poison root from which this whole tragedy is going to grow.
And smack in the middle of all this is our guy, Prince Hamlet. He's a student, a thinker, and he is just completely drowning in grief for his father and disgust for his mother's ridiculously quick remarriage. For him, this isn't just some family drama, it's a sign that the entire kingdom is morally rotten to the core. Okay, so this is where things get a little supernatural. Up on the castle battlements, the guards have been seeing something terrifying in the dead of night. And this ghostly figure is what's going to kick the whole story into high gear. Hamlet, of course, has to see this for himself. And sure enough, the ghost of his father appears and tells him a horrifying story. You see, the official cause of death was a snakebite in the garden. But the awful truth? Claudius, his own brother, snuck up while he was sleeping and poured poison right into his ear. A secret, treacherous, and, well, totally unnatural murder.
And with that bombshell comes a direct order. The ghost demands that Hamlet avenge him. Now, this is the critical moment, right? This demand throws Hamlet, a man who lives in his own head, a man of philosophy, into a total crisis. He's now been ordered to carry out a brutal, bloody revenge that goes against his entire nature.
So, how exactly does a thinker get ready to commit a murder? Well, Hamlet's plan is, in its own way, pretty brilliant. He decides to fake being completely insane. This gives him the perfect cover to watch Claudius and figure things out. But it also creates one of the biggest questions in the play. Is he really just pretending, or is this madness starting to become real? But can Claudius? He's no idiot. He's a shrewd politician, and he is immediately suspicious of Hamlet's weird new behavior. So what does he do? He calls in Hamlet's old college buddies, Rosencrantz and Guildenstern, to basically spy on him. Even the king's top advisor, the pompous and long-winded Polonius, uses his own daughter, Ophelia, as bait to try and figure out what's going on in the prince's head. And all this pressure leads us right to the heart of Hamlet's struggle. This legendary speech, it's not him plotting his revenge. No way. It's a deep, philosophical wrestling match with himself about whether it's nobler to suffer through life's hardships or just end it all. It is the absolute peak of his inaction. And all this spying, well, it has some pretty devastating consequences. During a conversation with Ophelia, Hamlet clues in that they're being watched. He completely lashes out, viciously rejecting her and telling her to go to a nunnery. In that one moment, he just shatters her heart and pushes away maybe the only person who could have been a true friend to him.
You know, even after hearing it from a ghost, Hamlet is still crippled by doubt. I mean, what if that ghost was actually a demon sent to trick him into murdering an innocent man and damning his own soul? He needs proof. Cold, hard, undeniable proof. And his plan to get it is pure genius.
He calls his little scheme the mousetrap. There's a group of traveling actors in town, so he gets them to perform a play for the whole court. But here's the twist. He's rewritten parts of it. The play they're going to perform will reenact the murder of his father, exactly as the ghost described it. The whole point is to watch Claudius like a hawk and see how he reacts.
And it works. Oh man, does it work. The second the actor on stage pours poison into the player king's ear, Claudius just loses it. He leaps to his feet, starts screaming for lights, and bolts from the room. That reaction says it all, doesn't it? His guilt is out in the open. Hamlet finally has the proof he needs.
Okay, so now he knows for sure.
A little later, he finds Claudius completely alone, praying, totally vulnerable. It's the perfect opportunity. But he stops. He waits. Why? Because he reasons that if he kills Claudius while he's praying, his soul will be clean and go straight to heaven. And for the man who murdered his father, that's not justice. This single moment of overthinking is his tragic flaw in action.
That one moment of hesitation, that's the turning point. From this point on, Hamlet's very personal quest for revenge just spirals out of control into a total public catastrophe, and it all starts with a horrible accident.
Hamlet goes to his mother's room to confront her. But hiding behind a curtain, eavesdropping on their conversation, is Polonius. When Polonius panics and cries out, Hamlet, thinking it must be Claudius, just whips out his sword and stabs blindly through the fabric, killing the old man on the spot. And that one rash act kicks off a deadly domino effect. First, Claudius uses the murder as an excuse to exile Hamlet to England, with secret orders to have him executed. Then, the grief from her father's death drives poor Ophelia completely mad, and she ends up drowning. And that brings her brother, Laertes, storming back from France, burning for a simple, straightforward revenge, the complete opposite of Hamlet. And that brings us to the final act. Hamlet cleverly escapes the execution plot and makes his way back to Denmark, just in time for a funeral and one last deadly showdown. He wanders into a graveyard and stumbles upon the skull of the old court jester Yorick. This famous scene isn't just Hamlet being morbid, it's him staring death right in the face and contemplating how it comes for everyone, kings and clowns alike. It's a profound moment that seems to finally prepare him for what's coming. Meanwhile, Claudius and Laertes have cooked up what they think is a foolproof plan to kill Hamlet during a friendly fencing match. It's a trap with multiple layers. Laertes will use a sword that has a sharp, poison-coated tip. And just in case that doesn't work, Claudius has a cup of poisoned wine ready as a backup. The final scene is just a whirlwind of death and tragedy. The plan goes wrong almost immediately. Queen Gertrude, not knowing it's poisoned, drinks the wine meant for Hamlet. Laertes manages to wound Hamlet with the poisoned blade, but in the ensuing scuffle, they accidentally switch swords, and Hamlet wounds Laertes with the same poisoned weapon. As he's dying, Laertes confesses the whole plot, and Hamlet, finally spurred into pure action, stabs Claudius and makes him drink the rest of the poison. In the end, the entire royal family is dead. The stage is just covered in bodies. And at that exact moment, Fortinbras, a prince from nearby Norway, walks in to find this absolute carnage. With the entire Danish royal line wiped out, he simply claims the throne for himself, bringing a kind of cold, somber order back to all the chaos. And that leaves us with the question that makes Hamlet so timeless. Was his inability to act a tragic flaw that destroyed everyone around him? Or is that struggle, that tendency to think, to question, to doubt everything, something that's just a fundamental part of being human? It's why hundreds of years later, we're still completely captivated by this tragedy of the mind.